Welcome back to the Dental Wealth Podcast. With me in the studio, as always, is the man himself, Mr. Eric J. Moore.
Glad to be here, Matthew. Glad to be here.
We have a special episode today. We have someone joining us from all the way over in sunny California, the founder and CEO of the Doc Sites, one of the fastest growing, most sophisticated website design companies in all of dentistry. Ali, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Great to be here. Heard many good things about Tower and happy to talk to both of you.
I think, Eric and I always get excited when we have a marketing person on because we love to talk about marketing. So both of us beforehand are like, all right, marketing, we got this. This is pretty simple. It's a hot topic in dentistry. So thank you for joining us.
Of course. Our twist is a little bit different. It's websites and marketing, but that industry is the Wild West. So we've kind of created a product and a service to alleviate all the horror stories that I'm sure you guys have heard, which we'll get into some details about here soon.
Well, here's the horror story. I'll just jump right in. So here's the horror story. So I'm starting my dental office, and no matter who I talk to, they tell me my website's horrible. And then I go to get my website done, and it's $40,000 before I even start to do anything. And that just spent a lot of my marketing budget. So let's just start there and that model, because I think that a lot of people I think marketing is one of the biggest challenges for people to get done well. And the problem is it's like anything else. There's an ignorance around it, which is I just don't know what I don't know, and I don't know what to do. And when I go on right now, if I open my phone right now, Holly, I go to it right now, it'll have 100 people that tell me, and 400, and that with no money, by the way, I'll get 487 full arch cases in 12 seconds or less, and my money back guaranteed, and they'll come to my house and cook me breakfast. And so then what ends up happening is you're like, well, how can I turn down that? And it's confusing. And then before you know it, I'm on this conversation, and a guy says, hey, look, I was in your stuff, and gosh, your website's just real bad. We can't even market for you without spending $35,000. And then it goes from there, and you're like, well, you feel desperate because you're like, well, I need to market. I'm missing out on an opportunity. So I paid the $35,000, and then that eats up a lot of my budget, and then there's frustration. So let's just jump right in there and why that model even exists, or what should it look like?
So that's the Wild West I'm talking about. There's the guy in his underwear in his mom's garage building websites that's charging, $500. And then there's the agency who's saying, I designed for Disney and I'm charging you $40K for a website, which you don't need in dentistry. We've created a template model that's personalized. Our prices are all online. I'll tell you right now, our best website's $3,500. You're going to say, how's that possible? We're going to say, out of the 15 years we've been doing this, from the fanciest websites in Beverly Hills, we were dealing with, those types of clients. We understood that dental patients don't necessarily need super fancy, super, colorful branding sites. Yes, those things are great to have, but you don't need to go $40K for a website. You could get the same thing for $10K, $5K, or come to us. We boxed it in a way where the box is beautiful. It's a manufactured house, but it's furnished with your info, your content, your reviews, your before afters, your great work, your beautiful team, your specials, your insurances. This is what patients look for. Nobody reads services. Nobody's looking at stock photos. The top pages on a website are doctor's page, homepage, team page, offers, reviews. These are the things you guys got to show off to get those patients you want. You could show that off yourself with a Wix website. You don't have to spend $40K. You don't have to come to us. Just first thing is the dental industry is very small and the web world is huge. So look for some colleagues, partners, companies you've heard of, names, reviews, what people are saying, and start there. Start with, who can I trust? Who can I talk to? Who can I get some advice? Just like you guys don't hard sell anyone. They come to you, you learn about them. It's a 5-year, 2-year process to learn their, bottom line and how to increase it for a better future sale. Same thing with us. They come to us. I've talked to so many doctors, free advice, and even just contact me through Tower, through anywhere, and say, I just want a no bias web assessment with no strings attached. I'll give you all the info. Take it to your current guy. Take it to your cousin that works for Google. You know, all these things that we've heard, and apply it, and you'll probably do better. Don't just look at a price or a fancy website and say, you know, 40K and justify it that way. A website for a dental office should not cost 40K.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I was just talking to someone recently, and while you're on this podcast, I mean, ultimately, I kept hearing all these people talk about what you do, and we talk about wealth, which is, you know, you can take that money that and reinvest the money you're wasting, I would say, and invest in other parts of your practice. That's the challenge, is that because we're scared that we're going to miss out on the fear of missing out on patients, right? Someone says, well, you're never going to grow your practice unless you spend 40,000.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's a lot of bells and whistles. In fact, I was talking to someone the other day about practices, and I said, if I was to start a de novo tomorrow, I would do it with a lot of used equipment. I would do it for the minimal cost. And I've been doing this for a long time. And it's interesting. The people that make the most money are the ones that don't create the Taj Mahal day one. They understand that, hey, how do I streamline, as well said, how do I streamline my business? Because if you think about like an Aspen Dental, if you think about a McDonald's, if you think about whatever company, they figure, how do I get in and create a model that's efficient, and how do I duplicate that over and over again? What they don't do is every time they do a McDonald's, they go, okay, this one's got to have golden doors and everything's got to be changed. They look at it and they say, okay, this is a business model. You know, in The Science of Scaling by Dr. Benjamin Hardy, I was reading recently, and he says, one of the things which I love that he said, are you playing to play or are you playing to win? And that's a really good question when we get into playing to play, i.e., I want to spend 45,000 because I want a chat bot, and I want this, and I want that, and I want all these bells and whistles. Even if they don't pay off, someone sells them on the vanity of a certain thing. But the question is, does it scale? Does it make sense? Is that really what you should be spending your money? And I think when we, by the way, we have plenty of money to spend on marketing. There's so much money to spend on marketing to get the right investment. And so I love the idea in business at any time around creating scalability. And what you're saying is that you don't need to spend, like, stop listening to people tell you to, I always laughed at that. I'm like, $50,000 for a dental website. Stop. Like, whoever told you to do that, you know, here's the funny part. Those people are probably outsourcing the work to somebody else. They're paying somebody else $4,000. They're charging you 30 grand.
And those sites take 6 months to a year to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure.
Our stuff is, you bring up McDonald's, I want to just bring up In-N-Out just as the business model. We've kind of modeled ourselves like that. 3 items, 4 items on the menu, super affordable, super tastes good. We're not trying to sell a McRib in the middle here. We're not trying to do something outside the box. We're just trying to give great paid for. We're just talking about the website. We haven't talked about how much people are losing on the marketing. Just right now, I just spoke to someone, 5K a month on Google Ads. Where are the Google Ads going? I don't know. To my homepage. Where are they targeting? I don't know. Everywhere in my state. There's so much wasted money. I'm sure you guys see it in their books, but there's so much wasted money because doctors get too busy to look at those things. And they think, like you said, just because they're marketing or they're spending it with that same company that their friend had, you know, there's a benefit there, but they haven't even seen, like, I asked so many doctors, what is the $1,500 a month payment get you? And they can't answer it. And it burns me because they're getting burnt. And our industry is very tough. You know, people don't trust marketing people that much. They think everyone's trying to sell them something. So it's already tough trying to win in an industry that you have to educate and create trust and, you know, earn their business. And then you got all these guys saying 80 patients a month or your money back guaranteed, you know, doing Facebook ads and all these kind of things that we have to deal with.
Yeah, I think that it's all extremely well said, because there's low barriers of entry to become a marketing company. There's management fees that ultimately there's no justification for. There's initial startup costs that there's no justification for. And because there's low barriers of entry, there's a lot of people coming in that just don't know what the hell they're doing. And I agree with you. I think that there are people in the marketplace who are in their parents' basement. And I actually think literally in their parents' basement. And by the way, this is just like my public service announcement. If you are going to do an ad, get out it, you know, turn on the some kind of screen and quit showing your parents' basement, because some of the people I see actually are on their parents' basement, I think. But there's that side. and those are the people that excuse my language, but they're just full of shit. Like it's not true because the acquisition cost doesn't make sense. The numbers don't make sense. They don't even, if I get on the phone with them and I actually speak financially or speak numbers, they won't even know that, they wouldn't even know how to respond because they
Let me
they
take
really
it
don't know marketing.
even one step beyond what you just said. One question before your question is, how many new patients do you get a month? Let's say they say 50. What are the sources of those 50 patients? They could barely answer that.
That's
Okay,
right.
let's break down the sources. Okay, let's say 20% Google, 20 word of mouth, 20 insurance. Great, you have that info. Now you could, fine tune your marketing. If Google was low, let's emphasize there. But then there's also what happened to the 20, 30 people that didn't become the 50 patients? Who's chasing those people? What happens to the, is it one attempt? Susie calls, hey, the guy didn't answer. Who cares? The lead goes in the trash. That's what happens. Web leads are very low attention span. They need quick attention. They need someone to chase, follow, just like any sale. One attempt is never enough. There's so many leads, let's call them, that don't turn to new patients, that are thrown in the trash, that could make a lot of money for practices. And also, it's not always about new patients. There's so much money to be made in the practice. There's so much recall. There's so much hygiene. There's so many appointments you can open for about Invisalign and upsell them. And there's so many different ways, and people get stuck on like SEO ads, AI now, and like they get lost there and they don't look at the basics.
Well, I think that's a good point. One of the things I've always said is that, even before private equity came in, I always said, look, if you're a $2 million, a $1.2 million practice after 30 years, I think you need to stop focusing so much on new patients and start focusing on the patients. Because if you thought about that, right, if all of us got 6 months of new patients, every 6 months, there's just a whole new group of new patients. You got to think about that over 30 years. I mean, just do the math on that. You should be 30 operatories, probably doing $15 million plus, even if you didn't try. So the fact that that's happening is attrition. I love that you said that about leads. I got this damn tax bill I got to fight. I'm just saying, like, it's end of year. I'm like, hey, how do I negate taxes? And I work with some great tax people, but I've got some ads coming through and their tax strategies. And I'll start to fill one out. And then, of course, then I'm in the algorithm that I'm trying to do this. And so, but sometimes I get busy. I'll be in the middle of filling something out and I won't fill it out completely, or I forget who I was filling out. And so what ends up happening is if someone called me today and they said, hey, we're tax strategist of America. Okay. I have no idea. I was in the middle of 5 things when I filled out your ad. It's not that I don't want that service, but if you don't follow up with me, I'm certainly not going to remember. You're not that important.
Yeah.
And I might have done that to 5 full arch things. I don't know. I mean,
there's so much missed opportunity in these inquiries. Just training someone to pick up the phone and say, because usually they have like urgency creates a lot of leads, right? They have a toothache, they need to see someone. They don't want to scroll through fancy videos and stuff just to get a contact form. They call you, they say, hey, I broke my tooth in a sports accident, can you help? If your person calls them right away and says, oh, what happened? What kind of sports were you having? They connect with them, they read their comment, they reach out. If the guy doesn't pick up that day, maybe they text them, maybe they email them, they call them for sure the next morning when they're back in the office. But like you said, there's a lot of missed opportunity, and then the marketing company gets blamed, and then doctors hate the marketing guy, marketing company say it's the doctor's fault, and it's a bad relationship. So we don't have contracts just for that reason.
Let's just marketplace for a second. Let me ask you this. So one thing that there's always this one group, okay? So and they'll listen to this. We have a lot of people listen to our podcast. They'll listen to this podcast, and here's their pushback. Oh, you don't understand. My business is different. I'm special. My business is special. What I do is special. And I'm a special doctor. So while that's great for everyone else, I need a very special website because I'm a special doctor in a special market and nobody understands how special I am. So I really need to spend a special amount of money to make sure that everyone knows that I'm special. Speak to that person.
That person's always going to find somebody they're always going to be looking for that person. They're going to be the guy that says, I've been through 12 marketing companies. They're probably going to be the guy that's never happy with any company. There's nothing special about dentistry besides being a great doctor, providing a great service. Yes, you could be a brand and, you know, you're one of the few that builds a brand internationally or whatever, but most practices, like you said, they're looking to grow. Most of our guys that have multiple practices are usually the most basic guys, the guys that streamline it. They want our basics, you know, they're like fancy, forget that. My guy, we have a client in Chicago, he has 20 practices. He made us remove everything from the site and make it as basic as possible. Habla Español, contact us, special offer, braces for 99 bucks a month. That's his market. And he has 20 practices because of it. Now there's a guy that wants to be in Jupiter, Florida that wants to get 30K veneer cases. And yes, she may be special in that area. So how we make her special is you got to show your work. You got to have happy patients. How can we show you're special without you providing anything? Stock photos aren't going to make you special. The marketing company can make magic. You got to help them provide what makes you special. And once they showcase that, are you in a place where Joe with a toothache is looking for that special dentist? Maybe not. Or are you just wanting to look special for yourself? Is it a vanity thing? Is it an ego thing? Because that happens with websites. People get lost in their glamour photos and then they forget about the patient.
Yes. And that's what I want everyone. This is the Dental Wealth Podcast. This is about wealth. This is about creating something. And I want everyone to hear me on this. And I want you to hear Ali, and I want you to hear this conversation. What we're talking about, because we're really talking about scalability. We're also talking about identity and ego. And this is important to understand. And we see it all the time. You can fight for your identity and say, I'm special, right? And I'm a doctor and I'm the most special doctor. The problem with dentistry is that you don't typically, yes, every now and then someone creates a brand that's bigger than them in some ways. But the truth is most people, even if you're an amazing doctor, when they walked in your room, they expected you to be an amazing doctor. When they walked in your clinic, they expected it to be a clean clinic. When they walked in, they expected you to be not. You don't get any credit for those things. If you're the best clinician in your area, you don't get credit for that because the patients were already expecting you to be the best clinician. That's why they're going there. And so what ends up happening is we have this identity thing that happens where people are like, I want the Taj Mahal. I'll spend $1 million too. I'll let ADEC put me on their private jet and send me so I'll spend $30,000 a chair versus when I could have bought a chair for $5,000 that's a year old. So what ends up happening is when we look at things, and this is important for everyone to understand, you go, well, I want everyone to see how special and important I am. Okay, we're talking about two different things. If you want to spend a bunch of money to feel special, that's fine. It's just not principled in business. You have to really be able to charge for that.
And I want to cut you off here, and I don't want to. Sometimes I rub people off the wrong way because I'm so honest, and our company's kind of that type of company where, like, here's what we offer. It's a great service, but if it's not a good fit, there's no reason to work together. Just come get advice and take it to your current guy. So when we're talking about things like special, you want to show you're special, get a lot of reviews, because how else is a stranger from the street going to know you're special without seeing your reviews? There's guys that are competing with young doctors, startups. They come right out of school. These guys are aggressive. They're getting 50 reviews a month out the box, out the gate. They're putting the guy that's been in practice for 30 years to shame on Google, and the guy's wondering why he can't compete. It's the game you have to play. I'm sorry to say it. You know, I didn't make up the game. Don't shoot the messenger. You have to get your reviews up. You have to, you know, compete. With a lot of bad reviews was a corporate. Now everyone with a lot of good reviews is a corporate. And I know it automatically. 1,000 reviews, 700, 800. Is that a corporate doctor? Yes, it is. Why do you have 200? I've been here for 30 years. The corporate's been there for 3. Why do they have quadruple the amount of reviews? You know, I'm special, but you need to show it. Tell your patients to make sure that they show how special you are by giving you reviews, doing videos for you, testimonials, you know, all this stuff. That's how you show you're special.
I think it's just the marketplace is going that way. I think when you look at most people that are searching for a dentist, they do two things. They, number one, check and see if they have a certain amount of reviews. There's not, even from my experience, 1,000 reviews versus 500 reviews, about the same thing. I'm looking at the average rating at that point. But then the next step is, do I go to their website and is it simple, easy to navigate? Does it need to be crazy, animations and all these things?
Does it
But
represent them properly? That's all you're looking for.
Yep. And then when I call in the practice, I'm greeted very like with a warm smile. And then from there, I'm sold. And I think, when I was first starting with Tower Leaderships, I was reaching out to a lot of clients and I would start to see websites, and websites have come a long way from, 10 years ago. But I think over the last 5 years or so, the marketplace has changed again, where it was like, you need this very in-depth website. And now it's more of a landing page approach that has a quick call to action that brings you to the place that you need to go. And then you're on to a phone call. So I think it got a little bit overly complex with websites.
And to be honest, that only happened because people wanted to make more money. The foundation has always been simplicity, and the patient wants quick doctor. Who's the doctor? How can I afford them? Do they accept my insurance or maybe no insurance? Do they have a dental plan? It's always been that. And I think that's what's kept our company very the fluff. We always look, the foundation on Google is still the same 10 years ago. Good site, keywords, call to actions, clean code. Not much has changed. When you come, like, a car still drives, the engine is still like what it was many years ago in the foundational sense. So same with the websites and marketing. It's always been do great work, show yourself off, get found. I don't want to use this way, but lead the horse to water, and then what makes them drink. So the marketing company has to lead the horse. You have to help make the person take a drink. So these things all go hand in hand. It's not a battle of the office and the marketing company. It's a team effort. Here's what we've done to make life different for these situations. One is no contracts. Most companies, they're going to lock you in for a year, 2 years, SEO, whatever. Ours is no contract. We have a small website fee for hosting updates. We could just do your website. I'll be honest with you guys, not everybody needs marketing. We have so many clients that say, I'm booked out till next year. I don't want marketing. I just want a good website so people can find my info and they don't waste my staff's time calling about insurance when everything's on my site. There's a lot of offices that are doing very well that need to work on adjusting their EBITDA and bottom line and those things more importantly than searching for new patients. So those are the things that everyone has to look at for their individual practice. They may need marketing or they may not, but if they do, they have to go based off trust. And trust is, does this company I'm about to hire have good reviews? Have other clients have received a good ROI? You could go to Facebook groups, you could go to online, you could go to Google, you could ask your friends. It's very easy to find a good dental marketing company out there, or at least good people. Not everyone's going to be happy with every company, and every company does it different. For example, I know Gary from SMC very well. We're friends. His company is totally different. We have different business models. Just like there's 50 ways to fix a tooth, there's 50 ways to do websites and marketing. Go off who fits your needs better. The business model matters, the no contracts, the smaller fees. What we've done is we've taken all the stuff that doctors didn't like and we've packaged it, we've made it affordable, and we've made it very easy to come in and out should you want to come in and out. But most people come in and they don't leave.
So what would you say is, I know this is probably a pretty big hot topic in just marketing and website development, AI getting involved at this point. So what's your experience with it right now? I mean, I see all the time. So Eric and I always joke that the marketplace, the meta, thinks that we're both dentists because we get all of the same advertisements from dental practices and everything. And I see a lot about websites and how there's this new AI function that can scan your website and tell you if it's good or if it's bad, and then you can hire this person. And to me, it's
again.
So can you speak on that?
Even before this AI stuff, there was SEO tools that would find 2 ancillary things and report it. So one thing is this being presented to you in a way to sell you something, or is it being presented to you in a way that's going to help you? That's what I would first look at it for. And then step 2 is, you could go read Google's top dogs that are putting out articles saying right now SEO is really just basic AI results, and those are starting to work. But in most cases, those are taken from basic SEO foundational work. For example, if you Google one of our clients, best endodontist in Waldorf, for example, on Google, he'll be page 1. He'll show up on Gemini. If you go to ChatGPT, you search it, he'll show up. Those are the things you want to look for. Now, do we have a special AI coder that we brought in from Google that's doing GOA, all these acronyms you're hearing? No. Some of that is just sales fluff, and you got to be careful for that. You got to be careful for the fly-by-night guys that will throw some AI stuff. If everyone had the AI tool to come scrub your website and help your ranking, everybody would be page 1, number 1, right? There's no such thing.
So now I want people to, make sure we're, also just helping them provide overall value and so am I hearing you right by saying that it doesn't make sense to spend 45,000? So we agree on that statement. Is that a true statement? And that money should be somewhere elsewhere.
I would say over even 15, 20K sounds high to me for a website. I'll be honest with you guys. This is
so it doesn't make sense. And I want everyone to hear me on this because what's happening is, by the way, I've had conversations with marketing companies on the inside, and here's what they'll say inside the company. Hey guys, let's sell a website. We'll make $30,000, and then that'll help us go do what we need to do. They're times it can take 6 to 12 months, which is another issue. You don't have 6 to 12 months. And then they go back and they say, well, let's use that. If you got 10 people that give you 30,000, that's $300,000 for a small business. That's a lot of cash you can do a lot of things with. So it would incentivize them to do that. And then it's not hard because they know you don't know what you don't know. So it's not hard to say, oh my gosh, look at this website. This needs to be moved here. We need to get this video animation. We need to add AI. And you go, and it does start to create fear, and you start to go, oh my gosh. And then if that doesn't work, then it's literally play with your ego a little bit and say, oh my gosh, doctor, you're so special. Your website should look like nobody else's. And so, look, I mean, I'm a words of affirmation person. If you start telling me, Eric, you're so special and you're so important, and don't you want your website to show that, I would probably be like, yeah, I am important.
Yes,
and so it's feeding into ego too. It's a sales technique.
Correct. And think of it this way: put that website next to let's say one of our websites or any website that costs less than 5K. If the website's good, who's the person looking at the website? It's a patient or a new potential patient. It's not me, you, my wife, the designer. It's nobody that cares about design. It's a patient that needs a dentist that they could trust. I'm a stranger. I want a stranger to put his hands in my mouth. What's going to create trust for me to pick up the phone or call that stranger? It's not a fancy site. It's not glamour photos. It's not their story. Nobody reads even. Nobody's going to go read pages and pages of content. They're going to just look at the things they want to see. Can I afford you? Can I come to you? Are you open? Can I make a schedule? Do you have good reviews? So again, to answer your question, when something sounds very high and it's being sold based off, it's all about you, and it's going to be that you answered it yourself.
Yeah, it's hard. And I'm letting everyone know listening to this. Like, this is just, and I'm not beating up anyone who's creating these websites. The question, this is objective, is if you're spending money and you're trying to create wealth and you're trying to create scalable business and you're trying to grow, the question is, does it make sense to spend the capital there? Because there's an opportunity cost of that capital. And so when you go through this, if we know what the key criteria is, look, I've got this giant tax bill, which is a good problem, but that's just the nature, luckily, of success. And so you go in and you go, okay, I got a tax problem, right? And so you say, okay, well, if I have a tax problem, then I'm going to go on the website of a tax strategist, not a tax return guy, but a tax strategist. What do you think I want to see on his website?
Do you want to see
his hair blowing in the wind? I don't need his hair
blowing in the wind, and
yeah, I don't need to see AI animation. I don't need to see the guy looking like on the front of a sailboat. I don't need any of that stuff. What I want to see is this: you can save me money, a bunch of people say you can save me money, right? I read a review say he saved me money, he saved me money, he saved me money, he saved me money. I got him saying I can save you some money, and then contact me today. That's all I need. I don't need 5 pages. I'm not going to it anyhow. I don't need to know that you went to, where you went to preschool at. I just want to know, can you save me money? Have you saved other people money? And if that's the case, how do I book a call?
That's exactly our approach, and there's nothing wrong with the guys that want the Ferrari of websites. There's nothing wrong. There's always going to be the doctor that wants that, and that's fine. But the mass people don't need that. And we're only talking about websites. We're not talking about how much money is being blown on monthly marketing and how much we're all making Google rich by just throwing money, and how that 20K extra you pay for the website could have bought you a same-day crown machine. There's so many ways that money could go in different places. I always tell people, like, they always tell me like I'm spending 5K a month on ads, and I say when I know they can't answer the right questions, like what are you getting back? Are you getting new patients? And I hear a lot of vague answers. I tell them, go tell the company to cut the budget in half and call me in a month and tell me if you notice a difference. They call me in a month and say I noticed no difference. Where'd you put that extra $2,500? There's a lot of that going out there where money is being thrown at Google, random. There's companies you're paying $700 to that are throwing a happy floss day across 200 dental sites, just junk. So there's a lot of, again, I'm sorry to say it this way. I'm sorry to be so blunt, call it junk and say these words, and I don't like to, but I'm trying to just cut through all the fluff. You don't need all the fluff. The fluff is why everyone it's the Wild West.
It's the Wild West. And I think that's why, we heard so many great things about the work you're doing. And I think that people need to think about this for a second, because, and I love this conversation has led to vanity versus efficiency. And I think that look, you're right. There's some people that want the vanity, right? It's just true. Like some are going to want to spend $50,000 because it feels better to spend 50,000. There's also going to be a perceived value, even if it doesn't outperform. I spent 50,000, so my website must be better than your website, and that's fine. The question is performance. Is it performing better? Is it and what is the performance? Are you even measuring that? Because what all that matters. So if you've created at DocSites a proven process, and that's what we're talking about, a proven process to say, we know, this is the cool part about, I think, what you're doing. We know that we tested this format over and over and over again, and we know how it performs. And if you just utilize our proven process, because we have statistics, we can tell you exactly what it's going to do, versus custom, which we have no idea how it's going to perform, and we have to play with it for a long time, costing you a lot of money to figure that out. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, and we came from the custom world. We ran from that world because, one, it was way harder to run a custom company that's playing design in Photoshop, and two, the client doesn't need custom for a practice, a chiro, a doctor, a dentist. They just need efficiency, they need affordable, and they need all our websites, by the way, they show you off very nicely. They're all fancy looking, and this is a very subjective thing. Somebody says, hey, Ollie, your websites are cookie cutter. Some guy might say, wow, this is better than the 20K I just spent. So that's a subjective thing, back to your vanity point. And, sometimes it's just, hey, I don't like it because he called it a template, and I'd rather spend 5K more because I don't like the word template. But you don't look at the other side of, like, does the patient really care? That 5K you could have gone to Disneyland with it, or you know what I mean? It's fine. If it's for you, it's different. But if it's for your business, think of it for your business.
Chick-fil-A uses a template. I mean, Aspen Dental uses a template. I mean, I think that what we're talking about is running an efficient business. And I just say, if you have a website that you can throw up very quickly, I say throw up, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, I'm just put up very, quickly, and it's hitting your metrics that you're trying to hit, move on, go focus on something else, and then and quit letting someone tell you that. And I've always said that, because every time I see the $35,000 bill, you know how hard it is for me as an investment advisor in the business world to sit down and talk to somebody who's like, yeah, we just dropped 40,000 on a website, and I'm like, what? I mean, and these are people that need to invest in talent and capacity and so many other things, and yet they're blowing money on some guy, for $40,000. And hey, listen, at the end of it, I have never, I can say this, I've been doing this for over almost 3 decades now. I have never, ever in the history of ever doing this had anybody ever come to me and say, bought this website for 50,000 and now my business is exploding. I've got more people than I know what to do with. I've got patients out the ear. I have never, ever, ever, ever had that happen. Now, I'm sure somewhere in the history of marketing it's happens, but I'm going to tell you right now, never have I ever seen somebody come back to me and say, my website, I changed into this expensive website and now I can't handle all the patients. Never seen it. I've never seen it happen. I'm not saying you can't increase patient tick by having a website. I'm saying that the idea that you're going to spend 50,000 and all of a sudden patients are going to rain from the sky in almost 30 years of doing this, I've never seen that happen.
Patients will never rain from the sky. Website, you know, it's never, there's no magic pill. SEO, ads, all this is a fraction of your marketing. You got to hit the streets. You got to do ground marketing, flyers, business cards, knock on all the specialties. Everyone thinks like, okay, I'm gonna do some ads and that's it. I'm gonna do ads and never look back. Just like us, there's 14 different channels of marketing we deal with. You know, it's not just SEO and ads, it's relationships, consultants, you know, marketing people, it's everything. It's you know,
I was talking to Frank Lamar yesterday, Dr. Frank Lamar, and Frank Lamar owns Highbridge, and not only does he help dentists across the countries, but he's probably one of the first doctors in the United States to go direct consumer with full arch. And he did this thing you could do, especially as a prosthodontist. And we were talking about the market, and we were talking about marketing in particular. And he said, you know, because if you knew how many arches he does a year, it would blow your mind. And some of the people that work with him. And so people were asking, you know, hey, we had a Q&A yesterday where we opened doctors to talk to us. And they said, what about marketing? And Frank, who, by the way, not only does he have the hybrid system, but he does a tremendous amount of full arch himself. I would say probably the top 3 producers in the country, maybe top 5, whatever it ends up being. But what he said was, you have to be everywhere. And what he was saying was, he goes, we have advertising here, we have advertising here, we have paid ads, we have infomercials, we have all this stuff. You know, the #1 real estate agent in America is Mark Spain out of Atlanta, Georgia, and he is everywhere. You want to back country road, you can turn on the radio, you turn on the news, he's everywhere. So my point in saying all that is to be omnipresent, understand, don't blow your whole damn budget on a website. Like if you blow your whole budget on a website, it's going to be hard to be in multi-channels. And what you're saying is be multi-channel. Don't blow your whole damn budget on an overpriced website that doesn't deliver anyhow. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, of course. And it's trial and error. It's, you know, start small. I'm going to do 2K of ads before I spend 8K on ads, just because the guy said, let's do 8K on ads. Start with 2K. Is it working? Great. 3K, 4K. You know, be smart about it. Don't just go off what someone says. You know your practice. You could feel your dollar, your bottom line changing, whether for the good or bad, right? Even if you're the worst, you know, tracking office ever, you still know your bottom line's either going up or down at some point with a marketing company. These are the things you want to find out. And to answer your question with the guys that are selling 30K websites with AI and chat and this and that, the only question I would ask them if I was a doctor, and I always tell the doctors this, show me one client, one ranking, one result of your websites. I don't care what you have. Just show me one result. I could show you hundreds of rankings from, you know, Alaska to Canada to Florida of our clients. These guys that sell the fluff, they could never show real proof. They could just show fluff. They could just show jargon articles or fluff.
I got to tell you, Matthew and I have been approached by so many people that have said, let me grow your social media following. I cannot make this up. And if you go to their social media, they have like 127 followers, but they're going to tell you, I'll get you 5 million followers. And you're like, you can't even get 500 followers.
They're probably just going to buy you some bots or whatever.
Yeah. So it's the same thing. So I think what people, you know, one of the reasons why we wanted you on the podcast is, and your team's so dynamic, and I know you're going to be at the Impact Summit, and we're so glad to have you there. I think what people need to understand is that this is an impact. I think you need to understand where you efficiently need to spend money, where it makes the most sense. We're big capital guys at Tower, so we're always talking about money and investments and where to put it and how to grow and those sorts of things. You know, it's interesting. We at Tower, we have everything from accounting firm, on-site operations, but let me tell you what we don't do. We don't do marketing, and because it's such a unique thing, and so and the truth is that what you've done is taken something that scares the hell out of people, and you've taken the things that work, and you've taken them and put them into I'd call it a framework. You put them into a framework that if you just follow the framework and stop trying to reinvent new frameworks, just follow the framework that we know works, and then make smart decisions around your capital investment into marketing, then all of a sudden now you start to create a machine versus letting someone talk you into spending a bunch of money because they're a good salesperson on something that has no or low ROI comparatively to much more efficient options. And I think that's what we're trying to get at today.
Yes, and that framework took years to you know, it's not nothing's perfect. You know, I'm a programmer by trade, and this product was made by us from years of all the stuff that we didn't need to do and all the extras that, so it became something like, okay, now it's something we could sell, we could replicate, we could, you know, re-optimize for different practices. And like you said, we've created a framework that's very affordable. There's minimal, you know, like we don't need to hire a designer every time for a website and pay him $5K so I could charge you $30K. Our stuff's already, the factory line is so smooth, everyone's happy, you know, the burgers come out the same, everyone's, you know, paying the same price. There's no extra, so I'll charge them $9.99. There's none of that. All our stuff's on our website, super affordable, cheap, effective. And if we're not the right fit, it's easy to walk away. We're not going to handcuff you hostage. We're not going to, you know, sign contracts that are locking you for years.
Well, so let me ask you this question. So if I was a doctor listening to this, right, I'm starting to question my own strategy. And a lot of them have said, okay, oh crap, I overspent. But let's say, and look, there are a few doctors left in the world that don't have a website, but most do. So let's just say I already have a website, and I already bought the $50,000 website or whatever. You know, why should I ultimately have a conversation with doc sites, and why would it make sense?
Everybody should have a convo with us, regardless of 1K or 50K, just to get advice from someone that's not going to try to sell you or fluff you or anything. Just, hey, as a friend, this is the advice I would give my friend. Your 50K website might be, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know? Or if it's not broken, break it, because you might have improvements to be made. So there's a lot of those kind of things you have to look at. Is it's individual. If someone comes to me and says, Ali, I just spent 50K on a website and I hate this company, I want to change to you, but I know you're not going to touch this guy's website, we could still reuse all the photo shoot, the videos you did, the content they wrote, all that stuff you spend money on could be repurposed. Just because we're not taking the foundation of their house, the furniture still goes. You paid for that furniture. You know, you paid for the photos, the videos. Typically when you pay 30K for a website, you're getting photo shoots, video shoots, custom write-ups, doctor bios. All that stuff could be moved over into a real affordable platform, and you're going to save so much money on a monthly basis that it's going to wash that 50K burn away real quick.
Yeah, I love this. I love this. Well, I appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I love this conversation because I love scalability. I love being efficient. I love putting capital in the right spots. Any last thoughts, Matthew?
No, I think if someone is interested, I know obviously they can go to docsites.com. Is there another better form of communication just to reach out to you to get, you know, analysis on their website?
Again, I'm one of the few guys that puts my personal cell phone out there, 818-416-0007, just like James Bond with one extra zero. Ali at DocSites is my email. DocSites.com is our website. We have humans here that answer the phone. I'm in the office. There's no outsourcing to abroad. There's, you know, this is a legit company that happy clients, easy process. No guys in the garage, you know, outsourcing work and charging you thousands and thousands. just call us. We're easy to get a hold of. And you brought up the fact that, like, I love it when I hear somebody say, hey, doc sites is everywhere. I love hearing that because, like you said, everywhere. So if we weren't doing good or making people happy, we wouldn't be everywhere. We'd be, you know, we'd be gone, or we'd have to change our name like all these companies that do. They change their name every 3 years because they mess up their reputation. But either way, we're here to help. We're not here to sell. And that's what we want to be known for.
Awesome. Well, make sure you guys reach out to Ali. He's going to make sure you're taken care of. I think websites are huge.
Just one thing. Matthew and I, like, we spend so much of our time having company after company we talk to when we're looking for things. So we spend a lot of time in it. I say that to say all great businesses should. So what ends up happening is when a conversation like this, you should get on with doc sites and say, hey, take a look at it. Because what ends up happening is you don't want to make a mistake because of a fearful, fear. Like Ali wants you to use doc sites. Like he doesn't, I don't think he's afraid to say that. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't, your patients ultimately, right? That you want to ultimately have your patients do treatment. That doesn't mean if they walk in the door, you're going to tell them to do treatment they shouldn't do. You always want to have somebody sit in front of you as a patient and talk and open their mouth. It's the same thing. Like it's very important for you to sit down and say, hey, look, am I missing something here? Should you take a look in my mouth? Is there something going on that you can diagnose? And if your smile looks beautiful and you look great, it's like, hey, no, you look great. No cavities is checked. You look great. Keep moving on. But hey, if we've got some decay, we don't have to do a whole full mouth reconstruction, but we probably at least need to get rid of the decay. And it's worth someone taking a look.
And even if you don't want to use us, take my report to your current doctor and help him fix your decay with my reports. That's,
by the way, you like that dental analogy out there? Come on,
I like that. I always try to use them too.
so docs, hey, reach out to Ali. Look, there's a reason on the dental on here. This is not, this is not how this works. But we're very, very careful with our reputation and the people we talk to. Great company, such a great recommendation, and you are everywhere. And everyone's talking about the great work you guys are doing. Definitely worth checking out. Guys, thank you for tuning into the Dental Wealth Podcast. So glad to have you here. We'll see you next time, and I'll see most of you guys at the Impact Summit.